Happy to introduce Carla Grossman. There you are, Carla.
She's coming.
Sarah Foye, Rachel Alvarez, Robin Swallow, and myself.
Thanks. So, my team will be joining us in just a moment. Okay. Thank you, everybody. So my name is Sarah, and I'm here to share about our registry, which is the Congenital Muscle Disease International Registry. And during this talk, I'm going to refer to it as the CMDIR, since it's much shorter. And we obviously work in a huge team of people making this happen, so thank you for being up here with us. This is my family. I have a teenager with Titin-related centronuclear myopathy, so my special credentials are MOM. And I wrote down the last speakers. I was madly writing down everything they were saying because definitely need all that information. I'm also an occupational therapist by training. So between my son, my healthcare background, my amazing supportive husband, led me, along with some inspiration, to volunteer for the CMDIR. And I've been involved with the CMDIR for several years and have served as the governing board president. And I also want to introduce Dr. Carla Grossman. I'm here with the whole team and also Dr. Grossman. And she is a clinical professor of neurosciences and pediatrics at the University of California, San Diego, Rady Children's Hospital. And she's been working with the Cure CMD in the undiagnosed clinic for a while now and is now a Cure CMD board member. So her expertise in neuromuscular disease and her advocacy are a great addition to our team. And we also have the Cure CMD staff here, so thank you. So this was not in my slides until this morning, which is last night. It was a lovely night. My family went over, took a taxi a few minutes from here to visit some of the memorials, and we went to the Martin Luther King Memorial. And if you look at the picture at the it's a relatively new memorial, and Martin Luther King literally is pushed out of a mountain of rock. And the quote on the side of the memorial says, "Out of a mountain of despair, a stone of hope." And I thought, wow, in the context of this weekend, we need this picture in our slides. And so the registry is one small piece of that. And we are building, block by block, our hope out of this mountain of challenges. So the CMDIR is actually a group of a bunch of people that participate. Most of the people on this list have been present at the conference this weekend, so hopefully you got a chance to listen to them and meet them and talk with them. And essentially it's a network of nonprofits, staff members, volunteers, and healthcare professionals. So what is this thing, the CMDIR? It's a global database of congenital muscle disease and includes all age groups from infancy up until onset into adulthood. It's a secure database that's housed on the AltaVoice platform, which is a division of Invitae. So if I could reach into my pocket right now and pull out a treatment for your subtype of CMD, how would somebody be able to find you? Let's imagine I had it right here in my pocket. So even if you were eligible for a treatment, how would somebody find you to let you know? So this isn't something I could find on Google. I probably might not find you. Some of you, maybe I would find you. But this is one way that we can work together to be available for our ultimate goal, which is treatment. So essentially that having a rare disease cannot be a spectator activity. So having a rare disease is less about getting the answers than being the answers. And this is so true for rare diseases. But I have some good news, which is I have something that you could do in the comfort of your pajamas. But you don't have to wait until you're wearing pajamas to get started. So, which is register and sign up for our patient registry. And you can do this action right here, right now, today, or you could do it in your pajamas if you want. So when you got signed up to participate in this conference, you should have received a paper packet that is the registry. It looks like this. If you want to look through, if you have your bag here and you can look through it and see if you have it, we have copies of it here. My sister Stephanie is here. She's holding it up. If you're like, what in the heck? What registry? And you're like, I lost those papers. I wrote all over those papers in the last session. Then no worries, my sister will give you a paper packet. And so if anyone wants a copy of the survey and wants to fill it out right now, you could hold up your hand and they'll bring you a copy. Is anyone here looking for a copy? Okay. Okay. But don't worry, if you don't have the paper and you're not a paper person, you could fill it out online. I personally don't think I'd fill it out on free hotel Wi-Fi, but you could do that at home on your internet if you want. But it's available online on the registry. So I guess the question is, why would you bother with this? But without the registration, we would not have been able to fulfill the clinical trial recruitment for the trials that you've been hearing about all weekend, like the CMD COM study, the omega-pill study, and the hyperinsufflation trials. So look at our community is on the horizon for many potential new trials. And those studies succeed when we are able to fill the research slots with the necessary numbers of participants. And people out there are nodding their head. Yes, and without the filled slots, you really can't meet the criteria to prove anything. And so we really need the participation. In addition, that a robust registry with large numbers and a cohesive group of families, it helps to get pharmaceutical companies and other industry members interested in our communities. So like we come to them and say, look, we have X number of patients and we'll help you. You have a drug you're thinking about, guess what? Well, we have all these people registered and ready to go. So we want to be like armed and ready for that. And the way we do that is building in this database. So there's some also benefits to participating, and that is that it's linked to the biobank. You guys heard about this on the weekend also. And the folks from Coriel were here yesterday, and some people participated with that. We're donating blood to create cell lines. So our registry is linked to the biobank at the Coriel Institute. They take samples of skin and blood in the registry. And also, if there's researchers in the room, keep in mind that you can actually solicit for those samples, and there's a small fee for that. But by the way, any researchers in the room, if you donate skin and cell lines to Coriel, you get something called a back to submitter sample for free. So it's kind of like a give and take. So keep that in the back of your mind. The other thing is that we also have the tissue repository, which you heard Stacy Cosette talking about over the weekend. Or is Stacy speaking next? She spoke. Okay, yes, thank you, Rachel. So anyway, and the tissue repository, as you learned, is at the Medical College of Wisconsin. And so some of the data that's in the registry is shared with these samples so that it's very meaningful to the clinicians and researchers that need access to them in a way that respects your privacy and protects your privacy. So another benefit is that you can get access to information through the registry. In fact, maybe some of you heard about this weekend by participating in the registry, and so that was one benefit to you. And there's newsletters that go out. We have information and educational information about how to get the best care, best medical care. There's informational videos on YouTube. I mean, even all this wonderful information that we've been getting this weekend will be able to be shared to participants in the registry. The registry also hosts webinars. A lot of the people who were here this weekend are people that might already have been familiar to this community because they had maybe spoken in the past on webinars through participants in the registry. And there's just a list of a lot of other resources. You can also find a list of clinical trials on the registry website, and there's a lot of them. It's pretty exciting, so it's like an exciting thing to be a part of. And you can also have access to our social media, link up with other families through the registry. And I know when certain families come into the registry, they do their best job to connect them with other people to kind of help maybe a new family with where they're at or a new situation. So it's like connecting families and family support. Okay, maybe I'm preaching to the choir because maybe all of you are already registered, right? Yeah, she's registered, she's registered. Okay, he's registered. So now's the time to get registered. But if you are registered, guess what? Our registry is only as good as the data that's in it, right? So if you could please update your annual survey and submit your genetic test report. We do submit other records, but right now we are really highly focused on genetic test reports. And that's so important because you could say, well, I have call 6, but without us having the report, it'd be like, well, where's, the proof is in the pudding. Can we see the paperwork? And so please, it'd be really great if you can submit your records. And there's easy ways to do it. You can email it if you like that, fax, snail mail, a bunch of different ways. And if you've already registered and you thought, oh, that's right, Rachel's, or someone from our staff contacted me and said I should probably submit my records and you really kind of forgot, please check that box and submit your records as soon as possible. Thank you. Also, Rachel can confirm on this, is that if you submit your records into the registry, they're uploaded into the database, if for some reason you needed to access them on a later date, they're actually connected to your profile, so you could, for the most part, download them at a later time. So we're not uploading 1,000 pages, okay? But for basic things like genetic reports, there are a couple key things. Did you get hungry? No. She must have been hungry. So, okay. Anyway, so that's about the genetic reports. We really need the records. So we don't need all the records. We're kind of really focusing on genetic records. And the fact is that for certain studies, there may be a focus on collecting different kinds of records. And if that's the case, we'll reach out to you and ask you to submit some of the other types of reports. So anyway, every individual is a critical piece of the puzzle, especially in rare diseases. You count. We want to count you. And please, everyone should have received an actual paper copy of the registry, the annual survey at registration check-in. If you haven't completed it, can you please do so? Is there a box at the registration desk to deposit? There's a box. It's going to be really easy. Fill out the paper. You can start now, and then you can just drop it in the box, make it easy. Or you go on your phone or computer and finish that. And if you are registered, keep in mind that you can submit your records. And I also wanted to mention that if you have more than one affected individual in your family, Rachel, right? Please don't create a new profile for every family member. There is a drop-down menu to add a family member. Is that right? To a profile. Okay, yes, thank you. So I'm just going to ask my team, is there anything else to add?
I just wanted to thank you for specifying that the importance, if you don't mind, of the sending of your genetic test. For example, right before this conference, Rachel was notified of a study, and they were looking for people in LAMA2 that only had one mutation diagnosed. And so she was able to work her magic and pull up the names, and we were able to contact those people to see if they wanted to participate. So it really is in your best interest to complete as much of the information as you can. Everything is confidential. Paper is locked up in a locked-in cabinet in a locked-in room. We don't give out names of the database, so everything is very, very confidential. I also want to thank you for reminding people, please, to go in and do that annual update every year. Janet and I are usually the ones that are calling to remind you of the need to do that. And so we would love to have our efforts in other areas. So please, it's important for us and for the physicians and researchers out there just to know how you're doing. Thank you.
And I'll just add, I'm Carla Grossman. you really can make a difference. These are rare diseases. They're spread all over the globe, and there's very few patients in each country. So in order to get the attention of pharmaceutical industries, of researchers, we need larger numbers. And you really can make a difference. 2 drugs were just approved this year by the FDA, one for spinal muscular atrophy, one for Duchenne, and parent and patient advocacy groups really made a difference in lobbying and pushing and driving therapies forward. So you can make a difference. And I encourage you to register all of your family members.
And you don't have to be genetically confirmed to register.
Oh, yeah, if you have an unknown diagnosis, a genetic diagnosis, you can still register.
I have a question. I'm an affected individual and my son is, but my daughter has been tested and she is not. Should she also register? No. Okay, just affected. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Can I just add one more thing? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I just thought of it. Absolutely register, and I know because Janet and I both do a lot of the calling. If you don't physically have a copy of your genetic test, with the signed permission slip, we will, on your behest, contact the lab or the physician and try to get it for you if you are finding it difficult to get it yourself.
What that means is when you go to your doctor, say, I need to sign a medical release form. That's what it's called, medical release form, so that I can have my genetic test sent off. And it's usually with the medical records department.
Okay, thank you.